Okay, so this is now a no webinar. The webinar who has very simple concept. We organize short 35 to 45 minutes long webinars every month, every last Tuesday. We cover different topics because we want to help you to get some practical things and tips and tricks, something you can start implementing into your everyday work from the moment you watch and join our webinar. The topic we have prepared for today's Know Now Booster webinar is steps needed to plan social media campaigns. And the best person for that is Ollie Walsh. So Ollie Walsh is here with us. He's the mentor. He has been mentoring for different accelerators. He also is a consultant for startups and scales ups that are in fintech world. But he's also a pioneer when it comes to strategy, when it comes to growth, when it comes to funding, and the reason why you're here today when it comes to marketing. So, Oli, thank you for being here with us. I will stop and share, and you can take the floor because it's yours.
So, steps leading up to a social media campaign. So, I suppose a few points on what this webinar isn't. First of all, it isn't about algorithms, and it's not about how to how to use Facebook or Instagram or TikTok themselves. As Kathy mentioned at the start there, I'm a consultant on 30 years in kind of marketing strategy, business strategy, go-to-market strategy, and so my career predates the internet. Never mind, never mind social media. But what I have seen in the last 5 years or so, or since social media's been around, is companies thinking having a Facebook campaign is a strategy, where it's actually part of a marketing strategy, and companies that don't start in the correct place when planning their strategy because they think all they need is social media, and they don't think how that actually interacts with their customer. So before you start any of that, you need to consider market segmentation, market positioning, and targeting of your customer in a strategy. So these are the kind of fundamentals of marketing to make sure that your campaigns are effective. So market segmentation is basically dividing a market into distinct consumers with similar needs or characteristics or behaviors. So I'll go through the three elements. I'll give you some examples of big brands you've heard of. I'll give you some examples of products I've worked on myself. And we'll discuss Youthbank a little bit as well, part of it. So I think a big issue with a lot of social media campaigns I see is people that just think first of all, the whole world is their customer. It's rarely the case that you're targeting the globe or the whole world. So the demographic segmentation and geographic segmentation are kind of key starting points to where your customer is. Even if you're selling online, that doesn't necessarily mean that the whole world is your customer base. You need to consider where you can deliver the product to. Need to consider different regulations. You need to consider where you can accept payments from. So for example, Amazon isn't global. They don't accept payments in a lot of African countries, and they can't deliver to a lot of African countries. So it's not a global marketing campaign for them. And then their campaigns are obviously localized into different languages and different cultures. So kind of geographic and demographic being age, gender considerations, with youth workers targeting young people. There's your demographic. It's young people. Where they are is the geographic. But then for Youthbank or Youthbank related institutions, they might also be targeting sponsorship or support. So then they're targeting corporate. So it's not actually it's a kind of a B2B campaign where they're targeting businesses and have a different message for a company than they do for an individual. So there's an example of how Youthbank or Youthbank organizations would segment their market. Psychographic segmentation is segmentation based on personality type or lifestyle or social status or opinions or interests. And then behavioral is targeting people on the types of products they buy, the type of content they consume. If you have people coming to your website, how they behave on the website, how they move through your site, what pages they spend more time on, can dictate the products targeted to them. A big mistake that I think companies make all the time with social media campaigns is using their website to drive traffic to their social media. Like when somebody's on your social media, they will spend like seconds on it sometimes, and then they're scrolling another second. Whereas if you're using your social media to drive people to your website, they spend, on our Pipit website. Pipit is, I'm the CEO of Pipit, which is a social impact payments company. The average person on our site spends 9 minutes. So they look at 3 pages. So we know where people are going on the site. We know what these people are looking at and what interests them. Whereas our social media campaigns, they obviously spend 9 seconds on a post. So use your social media to drive people to your website, where there's then more detailed information for them. So part of your strategy needs obviously to be a really catchy tweet or a really catchy TikTok or whatever it is, but that should link back to more information on your site where you're giving people more detail, and then you can make a sale or acquire a customer, whatever you're trying to do. So the segmentation, the benefits of the segmentation are, enables a better understanding of your customer needs, because like in the youth bank example, if you're trying to recruit young people for a campaign to be volunteers, that's a very different customer need than if you're trying to find a company to sponsor that event or to pay for it. Once you have a better understanding, you can then tailor your marketing needs for specific customers, to giving them the message, sell people the benefits of what you offer them, as opposed to selling them what you think they need. And this increases the effectiveness, the efficiency and effectiveness. This is effectiveness twice. It's just the efficiency and effectiveness of your marketing campaign. So by that, it means the return for your investment, basically. So a couple of big brands that everybody knows of, Toyota, Kellogg's, and Meta, in terms of, how they segment their markets. If you think of Toyota, they have a range of cars. Why would a car company have more than one type of car? It's for market segmentation. The Yaris would be a small car which targets the city living people who are doing short journeys in congested areas, whereas the Camry is a bigger car and they target families, so who need more room in the back. They need a bigger boot space. They've got the Supra, which is kind of a sports car, which is targeting, the young flashy executive who wants to have a sports car, or the older flashy executive. And then the Land Cruiser, which is, targeting construction workers, farmers, people who work off roads. They're 4 distinct segments for the same brand. And that's how they then target, which coming up to next, positioning and targeting their different products for those companies. Actually the first market, the first company to ever segment their market was actually a car brand. It was Camry, General Motors in the US. It was very famously that Ford only had, you could have any color you wanted as long as it was black, whereas their competition then segmented the market and released 5 different types of cars to compete with the Model Ford. The Kellogg's, as you know, is a breakfast cereal company. That's some ideas behind their segmentation. They have products like All Bran and Special K, which are targeted at older consumers with health concerns, with dietary concerns, whether it's dieting or it's getting more fiber into their diet, losing weight dieting or getting more fiber into their diet, compared to Frosties and Rice Krispies, which are, brands which target kids. An important difference there in coming up to in targeting and positioning is, for Frosties and Rice Krispies, the consumer is the child who's going to eat this, but the customer is the parent who buys it. So you'll notice in the advertising, those kind of kids brands have, they've toys, they've competitions, they've free product inside, they use cartoon characters in the advertisements, but the ads will always then mention that it's got added vitamins, it's got added iron. So kind of the toys and the colors are speaking to the child to demand it, who's the consumer, whereas the vitamins and the nutritional value is speaking to the customer, who's the parent, who's paying for it. So within your campaign, you need to consider who's Who's the customer who's paying for this, and who's the consumer that's going to use it. And then Meta itself, the Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, Threads, etc., which are all different brands within their social media, because the Facebook is for, probably the original social media was the Facebook, whereas the Instagram is more image based, which is more suitable for a kind of a younger, more photo based product. Such as some examples of some big brands you'll have heard of and how they segment their markets and a bit on the positioning. So the positioning then is to create distinct image of the product brand in the mind of the consumer. So you have to do your segmentation first, know what segment you're targeting, and then how do you position that product in the market. So, differentiate from competitors, build uniqueness, influences customer decisions. When you go back to the car example, so some people will be very orientated around environment and efficiency in the car. So hybrid or electric cars. Some people be very motivated around the image of the car, which is where the sports car comes in. Some people need more space because they've got 5 kids, and so they need a 7-seater. So their unique positioning within the product segment. So that is placing that product in the mind of the consumer. I'm looking for a car. What kind of a car do I want? I need one that's got 7 seats. I need it to be efficient, because I care about the environment, but I also care about the amount of money it costs me to run the car. Those elements position the product in the mind of the consumer. So elements around positioning is, the unique selling proposition, the USP. What's unique about my product? Why should somebody buy my product instead of somebody else's? Youthbank's a perfect example of that, because the programs they run are so unique in the inclusiveness and the financial education and the community that they affect, and how they work. The brand attributes and values, the product features and benefits. All these are Youthbank elements that makes it totally distinct from other youth organizations, but also other financial education institutions and NGOs and charities, etc. So evaluating your target market, who are you selling to? What's the segment? How do you position? How do you evaluate the target market? You want to know the size and the growth potential of the segment. How big is it? How valuable is it to me? The profitability and revenue potential. So how much can I sell to this market? And what's the potential profitability there? Capability with the organization's compatibility, with the organization's capabilities and resources. So I want to target a market that I can effectively service on the competitive landscape and market trends. So who else is competing in this market? What's their offering? How do I position mine beside theirs or above theirs or around theirs? So I'm making sure that I'm offering my potential customer the best value and benefits that they want to buy, and aligned with my competition. My capabilities. A couple of different market strategies around targeting a market. So there's undifferentiated, which is mass marketing, which is really your Coca-Colas of the world, really, and McDonald's and these big global brands. The differentiated, which is segmented, which is a more specific target market, and concentrated, which is a very niche market, and the micro marketing, which is very small targeted marketing with a very specific product, which social media makes really effective, because social media can be targeted so specifically. Because of the amount of data that the likes of Facebook and TikTok have gathered on their customers, they can very, very effectively target your message to the right audience. So implementation and monitoring of a strategy. So you need to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of your strategy. So it's not a case of you just turn it on and let it go. You can measure it very, very effectively. So we're using, for example, we're using an example, a campaign for Pipit, where we were targeting people from Ghana living in the UK to be able to send money home to their family in Ghana. And we did 2 campaigns on Facebook. One which had a picture of somebody receiving money and looking very happy for it because they were getting a remittance from a family member abroad. And one was just a picture of the Ghana flag. And the Ghana flag got 90% of the clicks for those campaigns. So we knew within 24 hours to turn off the happy person image and put all our budget into the campaign with the Ghana flag. That's a very simple example, but you can do that across a number of social media channels. You can do it in a number of ads. You can have landing pages to A/B test. So you might have one ad and 50% of the clicks land on one page on your website and 50% land on another page on your website, and which of those pages is more effective. So you need to continuously monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of the strategy and then make adjustments based on the feedback and the performance of those campaigns. So here's one example of a product that I worked on myself. I was involved in this is a golf trolley called the Airglide. It was a product where the handle of it had a spring built in, and that spring absorbed a lot of the energy required to push the cart. So it was way easier to took a lot less energy to push it than a normal golf cart. So I was involved in this from the original idea through to patenting it, through the design of the product, through getting a manufacturer in China, through getting it released into onto shelves in 10 countries across the US and Canada and Europe and Australia. And when we were doing our original target marketing, we did, what's the size of the market? How do you assess it? So we developed a prototype. Where I'm based in Ireland. So we went out to 5 driving ranges across Ireland where people practice golf. We got together a group of 5 people and demonstrated the product, which is called a focus group. We demonstrated the product, showed them the benefits, got their feedback. And the key feedback we got was that people under 40 years of age weren't really interested in something that was energy saving. And people over 40 years of age really saw the benefits of it. So that was our segment then. It was golfers over 40. So we didn't need to spend any money targeting people under that age. Your potential addressable market is the entire market itself. So we knew in Ireland there was 125,000 golfers, and we found that out from the Irish Golfing Association, and that they spent 39 million euros a year between them in golf, which is 312 euros each. So we knew that was the size of the market. We were able to scale that down then because we knew the size of the market, that over the total addressable market based on our capabilities. So we knew that was the golfers over 40. So we were able to scale it down. There was 12% of the market, which is 4.5 million. We knew the average cost of a golf cart was 175 euros. That meant that there was 25,000 carts per annum being sold in the country. And then we could work out how many potential customers we had for our carts, and then the margin per cart. So we knew that the total serviceable market for our product in Ireland was 125,000 euros. And then we were able to repeat that exercise in the UK, France, Germany, and build up what the value of the product was, and we can use that for marketing, and we can use it for investment and for product development. So that's kind of how we segmented the market, how we targeted and we positioned it. So once it went on sale, we were targeting over 40s golfers who were looking for an energy saving device. So another example, like I mentioned earlier on, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pipit Global. So we're a payments company. Our mission is to make it cheaper and faster, safer for migrants to get money home to support their families. So the first one of the first products we built was an international bill pay. So the model is somebody living in Africa, somebody from Africa living in the UK could go into a local shop, and using our platform, they could pay cash, physical cash in a shop to pay a bill at home in Africa. So the social impact in this was, instead of using Western Union to remit the cash, which would cost you 9.5% of the total to send the money home, you could just pay the bill directly and it would cost 3.5%. So a dramatic saving. So building up our segmentation and positioning and targeting here, we have the UK to Africa remittance market is $6.3 billion. So that's the amount of money sent from the UK to Africa every year. So that's our potential addressable market. We focused in Nigeria because it was the biggest recipient. Plus we'd a what's called a bill stack. So we had a lot of bills, utility bills and phone bills that we could pay in Nigeria. So the flow there was 3.6 billion in total sent from the UK to Nigeria. And then the specifics of the bill we knew was 30%, according to the World Bank. 30% of remittances is spent on bills. So that gave us a market of $600 million being sent from the UK to Nigeria every year to be spent on bills. With our fee, that was a revenue of 21 million. So that was our target market. And then we were able to build campaigns where we could focus on social media about where Nigerians lived in the UK. But half them live in London, and London's a really expensive area for targeting anybody because of the density of people there. So the click rate on an ad is very high. The other half of Nigerians in the UK lived in Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, and Leeds. And those areas were much less competitive, which meant we could get more value for our marketing budget by targeting the satellite cities as opposed to the capital, and then build up your transactions there, and then do a secondary campaign to target London itself. And then once that was in place, we could do a similar campaign targeting people from South Africa and people from Kenya and people from Ghana, where there's kind of flows from the UK. So that's how we kind of segmented, target, positioned that product. So conclusion, you need to divide your market into meaningful sections. You need to position your product in that market. You need to target customers based on the benefits you provide that matches their needs. So essentially, you need to sell people what they want to buy, not what you have to sell them.